our special guest on the phone, he
Yes.
is never late for a gig. Do you know
No,
why?
why? Why is that?
He's a drummer.
He's a drummer.
He's a drummer. He doesn't drive, so somebody else picks him up to make sure he's never late.
Ain't that a fact?
That's cruel, I know, but that was the insight I was given many years ago. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the other end of the microphonic stage.
Yes.
From the Original Angels, from GANGgajang, from the Dinosaurs. Yes, I remember seeing them, the Dinosaurs, a couple of years ago.
Oh, God.
And so many other things, including, I think, the CEO, chairman, call it whatever you like, of the Jimmy Little Foundation, Graham Buzz Bidstrup!
Yay!
What a lovely intro. Thanks, fellas.
Oh,
It took
yes,
so
all
long. It took so long. But thanks very much for coming. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, indeed. I think our time's up.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice hearing All By Myself by Eric Carmen.
Oh, you liked that, did you?
Well, it's based on Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor.
Okay.
We did not.
Okay.
Okay, well, now that's something that your listeners know.
Yes, that's right.
That was based on the second movement.
Let me
the
just
Adagio.
write that down so the next time I do a trivia night for classical music,
Yes.
I'll have it right.
You can have it right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get asked for that too often, but
Probably
people
not.
know that he was in the Raspberries as well.
Oh, okay.
All
He
right.
was the singer of the Raspberries.
Well, there you
Well,
go.
I think we should get Buzz up to do a trivia night with us.
Oh, I'm full of it.
That's just like the rest of
People
us.
tell me.
Oh, we're full of it too, mate. Don't worry about
Yes,
it.
indeed.
And we get told that quite regularly.
Okay.
How are you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. We had a gig last night at Waves in Wollongong,
Oh,
Right.
lovely.
and with Spy v Spy, believe it or not.
Yes.
And that was pretty cool. And now I'm. You mentioned the Jimmy Little Foundation and the work that I do there. I'm about to head off to the Northern Territory on Wednesday for 2 weeks up there, working in Aboriginal communities and doing my work. So never a dull moment for this boy.
No, but, it helps keep you off the streets, doesn't it?
It does indeed. I am a drummer, and I do need
I'm not.
my hands occupied.
I'm not saying a word about that one.
That's it.
I got a couple of good friends of mine that are drummers. You see, and
Okay.
yeah,
Strange.
we'll leave it
just
there.
leave it
What do you get if you cross a car thief with a roadie?
What's that?
A drummer.
You get a drummer with his own transport.
Ain't that a fact?
True.
Well, the other way to look at it is drummers always like playing with wood.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, talking about wood. I have a hobby. I build things, out of wood. And we were talking a little while ago with a friend of mine overseas, and he put it out there saying, "What could you say in a woodworking shop that would be construed as rude outside?"
Okay.
All right, so a couple of them came up saying, "I'd do that with a nail gun."
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Check the chamfers on that one.
yeah, absolutely.
There you
I tell you what.
Write these down.
Hey, yeah, write them down. I know. Geez, I could get my hand on that wood.
Yeah.
What a woody!
It's the other kind of dovetail, mate.
Oh, I like that one. That's fantastic. I'll write that one to him.
You
Yeah.
can use that one if you like.
Oh, thanks.
Plain as the face, as plain as the nose on your face.
And make sure you spell it Plane.
That's right.
True.
So, mate, what's happening? We're seeing GANGgajang in the circles these days. What's going
All
on?
over the place, mate.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens in this day and age when you. We did a couple of new songs, and at the same time we were remastering our 32-year-old album because we were the first band in Australia to have a CD.
Oh, wow. There you go.
We were signed at the time. We were signed to Polygram Records,
Yep.
Mercury, and when we put out that album in 1985, they said, "Oh, well, you can put it out on 12-inch vinyl, of course, and cassette, and then we've got this new thing called a CD, a compact disc, and you can put it out on that too. You'd be the first band in Australia to have one." And I went, "Oh, okay,
We'll give that a go.
that sounds like fun." And then when we mastered the record, we only really mastered it for analog delivery, and 32 years later, we've now remastered those tracks to sound the best as they can in the digital format. So, with downloads and streaming and all that sort of stuff, it's basically a different EQ that we use on it to make those songs, because you sort of EQ it a certain way to sound right on vinyl. And we've now done that. So I guess we had to let everyone know that we had that available, which you can get at GANGgajang.com.
Plug.
And that's GANGgajang with 4 Gs, by the way.
It is.
It is. A lot of people miss out one of the Gs. It's GANGgajang with 4 Gs.
Try saying that after a few.
That's true. I tried it last night. And that's why you've been seeing us around all the time. And I guess we make a bit of a noise about it, and then we will. We're the sort of band that we've never really gone away. People sort of say, it's a bit of a comeback, but it's like we do about 20 to 30 gigs a year, and always have, really. There's only like 1 year, I think, 1.5 years, I think, when we didn't play much at all. But the rest of the time, we've always played, and we've never really done, apart from the first couple of years of the band, we haven't done, the pub circuit. Like, we haven't played in venues, I guess, where, everyone else plays. We've done, corporate events, or we've done, festivals or special appearances and stuff. But this time we've been doing, the pub run, We've been doing the same gigs that everyone else does, which is cool.
Back to the good old Australian roots.
Well, yeah, it's not quite how it used to be, unfortunately.
Oh, hell no.
No, we've discovered that the good old pub circuit is not what it used to be.
No.
But that's okay. We've connected with a lot of new fans, and we've reconnected with a lot of old fans.
Yep.
And we've enjoyed it immensely. We actually, last night was the last night of the tour, in inverted commas. Which is the tour for Circles in the Sand, which is our new song.
Right, yes.
Which you guys have got, of course.
Yes, we do, right in front of me.
And you've been playing it, of course.
Oh, look, of course we have.
Yeah, that's a given, isn't it?
It is, of course it is.
I don't even have to say that.
Mark, hurry up, right out, get the CD, will you?
Get that bloody song on that track right now.
Has the check come through yet for the vote?
Yeah.
No, we'll talk about later, yeah.
Right,
$15, wasn't it?
We've gone up in the world. We get $15.
That's only $15 more than what we normally get.
You give me $15 to get the record.
Oh, shit.
No.
Sounds about right.
That's about right. So we've now come to the end of the tour, in inverted commas, and we go back to, we've got plenty more gigs coming up, but they're just not part of a tour. Like I say, I go up to Arnhem Land on Wednesday,
right,
and then over to a place called Wadair, Port Keats, which is near the Daly River, and wander around there for a couple of weeks, and then come back, and I'm actually starting an album of ukulele songs, which is going to be a bit of a hoot.
Here's a little bit of I don't know whether you know or not, a little bit of trivia on my end for you. Who had the largest ukulele collection in the world?
George Harrison.
Yeah, he did. He knows. Oh, very good. How many did he have?
Bonus point.
Yeah.
Oh, God. 5,000.
No, he had 2,230.
Wow.
Isn't it disappointing to know that you know that statistic?
I know. It's shocking, isn't it?
You have a sad life.
I think that you've gone up in my estimation knowing that kind of shit.
Lovely.
How that happened, it was really weird. And talking about ukuleles, I did a markets today, and there was a muso guy beside me, and I've been in music for many years, since 1982 myself. And I can't play guitar too well anymore because doing my work with wood, I hurt my hand about 12 months ago. And I'm flat out trying to actually push strings down on a guitar now. So he said to me, try ukulele. You know what I mean? You've only got 4 strings here.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll give it a whirl. Anyway, that's how we came about with that information. And my girlfriend's actually got a ukulele as well. So I went, I'll give that one a go.
Nice.
Are you enjoying it?
I have. The chords are very different.
No, they're not.
Oh, they are in some of them. Come on.
They're the same. it's just imagine you're putting a capo on the 5th fret of a guitar,
Yes.
and that's it. And then you play the same chords. You play a D formation on the 5th fret of a guitar, and that's G chord.
See, there you go. See, this is where I get confused.
Well, there you
Well, I know it takes a little while to get there, but the chords are actually, the chord shapes are the same. It's just that it's the top 4 strings of a guitar.
Yes.
Yeah. So I sort of cheat. I make it a little easier. I play a guitar lele, which is a ukulele with an extra 2 strings on the bottom.
Oh, you see that's
So I just play chord, guitar chord shapes.
Yeah.
And I have to keep remembering that it's a 4th higher each time.
Yes. Very true. Very true. Well,
you eventually get there.
Yeah, fair enough. One thing to ask, and it might be a little bit of a soft point for you, with GANGgajang not getting back together, continuing on their 20th anniversary.
Sounds like a John Farnham thing, you know what I mean? Keeps going on.
30th anniversary.
30th anniversary tour and so forth. With Chris's passing a couple of years ago, personally for you, because I know you and Chris were
Very
so
close.
tight, so close, and so much of great friends and so forth. Firstly, how much of an impact did that have onto you, and how hard was it to try and actually find somebody of Chris's standard to step into his shoes?
Well, firstly, there'll never be another Chris Bailey.
No, that's true.
There's like he was the bloke that I played in 2 major bands with, or 3. Include the Stetsons, the country band.
Yep.
The Angels, the Stetsons, and GANGgajang. But he, yes, he was a friend, and we could play anything. We could just go and jam out and say, oh, let's play this reggae, and bam, it'd go, or let's swing this, or let's, So he was an incredible player. So there'd never be another one. I was devastated when he passed away. It was something that I knew would happen.
Yeah.
And it was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because it had been flagged once before.
Yep.
His condition, and finding someone to replace him. You like I say, you can't find someone to replace him, but you can find people who can play, like Peter Willersdorf, who's playing with us now. Willie played in a band with Sean Kelly and and Jeff Stapleton, our keyboard player, and they were called the Dukes, And
Yes.
so he was kind of known to Jeffrey, and we'd known him over the years as well. And he's a great bass player.
Yep.
He's the sort of guy that is happy to listen to the records and basically play Chris's part.
Excellent.
So he's in the he's in the right groove, put it that way.
Yep.
Because he sits with me really well. Although you'll never. Every time we in the band, that is, we have a song or something, we may sort of think about, what would Chris play on it?
Okay.
And that was a bit like with Circles in the Sand. I ended up playing the bass on Circles in the Sand.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that's a keyboard bass on Circles in the Sand. It's me playing a keyboard.
Cool.
And which I've done quite a bit of over the years.
Yep.
But it was like, what would Chris play on it? And I sat down and I went, oh, probably something like this. And then it was just, it kind of worked, and everyone said, oh, well, just leave it, just leave it as a keyboard bass.
Fair enough.
But although he can never be replaced, he'll never be forgotten.
And that's fair.
That is fair, and that's the truth
Absolutely.
of the matter. Yeah, very much so.
Tell us about the Jimmy Little Foundation.
Okay. Well, look, I was fortunate enough to be Jimmy's manager for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I met Jimmy just at the release of the Messenger album in 1999.
Yep.
Which had all those great covers.
And he's got such a fantastic voice on too. It's soft.
It's
soft and it's soft and very easy going on your ears. And it's just one of those albums you could actually put on And
It's
just
a
lay
mood,
back
a
and just
mood.
enjoy.
Very much so. It's a mood kind of music. It's just a music. It's just very cool and mood.
Pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more I got to know him, I mean, I was hired basically to, in inverted commas, look after that record when it came out. And if anybody wanted to book him, then they'd talk to me.
Yep.
I sort of helped with a bit of the PR and media stuff like that, or just kind of just, connecting up things. And it went nuts, it went all over Triple J, and, within a couple of weeks of that record coming out, people wanted Jimmy to play at all of the groovy places. And,
Groovy.
all the groovy places, like the Livid Festival, or the Falls Festival. We played all these kind of things, and all the hip gigs, in Melbourne and whatever. And I started this journey with Jimmy musically, but within about 6 months or so, when his popularity was back at its peak, the government got in touch with him, and then he put them onto me to make him an ambassador for literacy and numeracy for Aboriginal kids, to go around to schools and talk to kids, about the importance of getting an education and blah, blah, blah. So I would go out with Jimmy to all of these communities that I really knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about them. I knew a few Aboriginal people. I knew a few musicians. I knew, dear old Mr. Yunipingu from Yothi Yindi, and I knew George from Warumpi Band, and Bart Willoughby from No Fixed Address, and so I knew a few players. Kev Carmody I knew, but I didn't know anything about Aboriginal culture and what it really, the grassroots of Aboriginal culture. So I started going out to these communities and watching, I guess, observing the state of some of these places, and I would sort of come back and say to some of my friends, I don't believe that these places are like this. They're like third world places, and the shops are really terrible, and there's kids with trachoma, which is a disease in their eyes, and there's kids with otitis media, which is this ear problem they get, and they don't eat properly, the food's crappy, and everyone's drinking too much sugar drink, and there's a huge rate of diabetes, and there's a huge rate of kidney failure, and I'd talk to Jimmy about this, and I'd say, look, what do you think about this? And he said, oh, mate, I've just seen this now for years and years. I keep going out to these places, and they never change. And I said, gee, that's crap, I just don't think that's right. And he said, yeah, well, maybe we should do something about it. And I went, yeah, well, what can we do? Okay, we set up the Jimmy Little Foundation that ostensibly started to lobby government, and I guess it was another voice that was saying, there's a lot of money that's spent on Aboriginal Australia, but perhaps it's not being spent in the right way.
Yeah.
Perhaps if you actually look at a different way of utilising that money, because the more I went out there, the more I realised that there was all these programs and money that's thrown at these people, but most of the time, and I'd say 99% of the time, you don't get a person from the government coming out and saying, what would you like? What could we do to make this better? They come out and they say,
this is
what
you'll do.
This is what you'll do.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do. This is what we've decided. Us white guys have decided this is what you're going to do. And, while we're in power, this is what you're going to do. And then the other guys come in, because I've been doing this now for 16 years. So then the other guys come into power, the next government, and they go, hang on a minute, we think that's all buggered. We're going to take all of that away from them. We're going to do this. And then the Howard government comes in and says, we're going to have an intervention. We're going to basically take all of the communities back again. So it's been a voyage of discovery for me, and I've met some of the most beautiful people that I'll ever meet out in these communities and in Aboriginal Australia, and I really I despair sometimes when I go back to communities and where's Alfred? Oh, he's passed away. Oh shit,
Yeah.
Where's Joey? Oh no, he's gone too. And these are people who are like 60, 63, 64. They're my age, and they pass away. and it's just not right.
Ostensibly, then we've got it wrong.
I think so.
Generally,
I think we got it wrong many, many years ago, and it's a bit like trying to put toothpaste back into a tube. Once it's out and all squeezed out, it's really bloody hard to put it back. And all you can do is try and salvage some of the toothpaste and use it while you can. But it really, I think that the number one thing is talking to the people out there, particularly the older people who carry the knowledge. And there's an incredible amount of knowledge about Australia and about how to live. How people live in one of the harshest places in the world.
Yep.
How they've survived for thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of years. There's a lot of things that we could take a leaf out of their book. But I guess one of the things that Jimmy said just before he passed away, actually, he wrote this letter to the government, and he said, he just implored them to listen. Just listen to what the people have to say. And it's not just, it's applicable across the board, not just in Aboriginal Australia. Just, listen to what people need, and then the government should respond to that, not continually to say, well, this is what I think's best for you.
What in all of this, seeing you've been doing this now 16 odd years, what do you think should happen, in all honesty, in your own mind? You know what I mean? Because coming from other people and coming from what you've learnt and all the, everything that you've gained over the time, as you said, you went out there as a pleb, basically. You know what I mean? Going, my God, what's going on?
No knowledge at all.
So in what you've learned. So what would you think that if you went into Canberra and were right, you mongrels, this is what's going to bloody well happen? What would you think? What would you say?
Well, look, it's funny you should say that, because when the Abbott government came in, I went in to meet Nigel Scullion, who's the Minister for Indigenous Affairs. He's a senator. He's a national senator from up in Darwin, the Northern Territory.
Yep.
And and they were banging on about, everyone's got to get a job, everyone's got to work, and everyone's got to go to school. Everyone's got to go to year 12, And I said, there's not a big percentage of kids that are going to go through to year 12. I mean, let's be honest, mate, And as far as getting people to work, I mean, how can you expect people to go to work and be good and get a job and keep a job if they don't eat properly, if they're sick?
Yep.
And how can you expect kids to go to school and be successful at school if they don't eat properly? I mean, some kids don't have breakfast. They don't have, they have a pie and a litre bottle of fizzy drink for lunch, And so banging on about all of this stuff about how people have got to go to work and how they've got to get through school, you should start with health. So if I was in charge, I would go back to those communities and I go, okay, let's get the health together first, right? Let's just really get. I mean, none of us actually have a problem. Everyone's got to work, right? Everyone's got to work to make money. You don't expect people just to put their hand out, whether they're black, white, or brindle. Just put their hand out and get money in their hand.
Absolutely agree. Yes, absolutely.
So then you've got to go. Okay, so they've got to have something to do. So. Then if this has been happening for so long, and you have all of these, missionaries and misfits that go out there, mercenaries and missionaries and misfits that go out to these communities, and there's a whole Aboriginal, enterprise out there that's controlled by white people. There's a whole fist of money, buckets of money that are controlled by white people, and they get a nice little living out of it. Thank you very much. And the guys down the bottom, the people in the community are the last ones to benefit from it. In a lot of cases, not in all cases. There are some people that go out there with great intentions, I don't doubt that one moment. But I think going to some of these places where I think consistency would be the number one thing that I would go. Okay, we're going to, if people have to work, then you have to in a place that might have 2,500 people. I mean, there's some of these communities that got a couple of thousand people in them.
Yep.
They're not all like little 50, 100 people communities. Some of those are probably destined to be closed at some stage. The small ones, the same as like a little small wheat town out in the middle of New South Wales.
But are those people willing to move? That's the thing. Or are those towns going to die out? Because I know how attached that those communities are to their own land and their own dream time and so forth. Can explain that sort of thing. And it's been shown to me before. You take an Aboriginal person from one area, take them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for them to adjust, not to adjust to the land, but to adjust their own dream time thought process and so forth to explain and feel comfortable with the land.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't be advocating people to be, bust around the place, many miles from where they come. But, you could aggregate people, in an area. And I mean, there's some areas like in the Western Desert, like Kintor and Kirikara and places like that, and in the NPY lands where there's, several outlying little communities and there's a little hub in the middle, and, it can work. But, you can go to some places. Like I'm about to go to a place called Port Keats, Wadair, which is up in Northern Territory, and that's 2,500 people. It's 12 tribal groups, 20 language groups who, for tens of thousands of years, lived very peacefully and happily until, I guess, the Catholic missionaries came along and they said, we'll put a mission right here. And then they started bringing people in, and then, the store was set up there and the clinic and blah, blah, blah. And the next minute, it's like, this is the town and everyone has to come into this town. So you get people living cheek by jowl who for years have not been the greatest of friends. They're different tribal groups, and all of a sudden they've got to live in a little square concrete home, next to each other on a little straight street, instead of where they did live. And there's inherent problems with that, well,
we've seen
especially when there's...
We've seen that happen, particularly too down. Probably the best example was Everleigh Street at Redfern.
Yeah,
and the constant problems that were had with that. And
absolutely,
it was you may as well put your hand up and say it was the Caucasian way of thinking being forced onto someone who doesn't think in that way.
And you know what else too, as well. Like there you go. You said it there before, Graham. Is that Mark and I have discussed this many times. The biggest problem in any culture really these days now, well, actually not culture, such as the white fella, just say, is arrogance and religion.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is religion. Beg your pardon?
It's got a lot to answer for.
Oh, it does. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest problem really is, because the white fella comes in there, I'm not just saying white, he could be any of Hispanic or whatever, and coming in, you know what I mean? Because everyone blames the white fella. It's not always just the white fella.
I think it's just a figure of speech.
It's a figure of speech. That's how I'd like to hear it.
The people in control.
Thank you. Exactly. It could be any Caucasian coming in, like it could have been the Dutch doing the same thing, and they do the same thing. They walking right. This is what you're doing. You heathens. You don't believe in that. You believe in this. This is what we're going to force down your throat. You need to know this. This is what's going to happen. Hence is the reason what happened to the stolen generation. They were taken from their homes because they were living in the heathen way, and these children need to be raised in the proper manner. And back in the day, the people that take anyone in any country, such as in America, you know what I mean, the indigenous over there, and whether, like I said, white, yellow, green, brown, or whatever, they took them and said, hey, listen, you know what I mean,
we're going to give you a better life.
We're going to give you what we believe to be a better life.
And they're still waiting for that to happen.
Believe.
At least, in a lot of ways, they believe that they're doing the right thing. This is the problem. You know what I mean? They believe
that they're doing what they think is right for them.
That's right.
And the history of colonialisation through European colonialisation all through the world is just littered with, people foisting their own opinions and their own religious beliefs on people who had their own religious beliefs and had their own society and had their own
way of life,
their own way of living, and they were very happy. Thank you very much until these buggers turned up.
And they still do it today. They still do it like missionaries. They go, we're going over to New Guinea. We're going, so that we can preach the word of whatever. And they go over there and they push what they, we've got a mission there and we're going to do this. Now, okay, go there, do good. That's fine. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Help them out. Fantastic. Medicines.
Convert them to your way of
education.
Just because it's
exactly
education is the key. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah, you'll never get an argument from me about education, but there's a way to do it. I mean, dear old Dr. Yunupingu from Yothu Yindi. I mean, he was the first Aboriginal principal of a school in the Northern Territory, and he used to teach in two languages. He'd teach in Yolngu, which is his language, and in English.
Yep.
And while he was at that Yurakala school teaching, the results were amazing. They were just brilliant because the kids spoke Yolngu at home because their parents spoke Yolngu. But when they were at school, they spoke Yolngu and they also spoke English, and they learnt in two languages, and they actually then were passing stuff on to their parents. It was brilliant. And then, of course, it was probably 10 years ago or 8 years ago when they said, okay, we're not going to allow Yolngu to be spoken in that school. I mean, it basically said everything's got to be taught in English. But and now they wonder why some kids are a bit slow off the mark. Because their parents are actually saying, well, bugger you, we're going to speak Yolngu. That's our language. That's what we've spoken for 40,000 years, and we're going to keep speaking it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So the kids get confused, and they, you find that they get disenchanted. I mean, I get
brokenhearted.
Really, I get really frustrated when I go to a sample where the government's banged on about how everyone's got to get educated or learn to do something, and you go there and there's this whole say a workshop, and it's got a welding shop and a woodworking shop, and it's an auto electrician shop and an auto shop, and it's got all this sort of stuff. But there's no one there, and you go, where is everyone? Like, we haven't got any instructors. And
that's helpful.
Hey,
that's really helpful.
Yeah, why we spend all this money to get something?
Spend all this money. I mean, they build, they build all these colleges as well. They were going to take kids away from the community and educate them in colleges and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's all well and good, but you can't do it unless you've got a culturally acceptable way of doing it. You can't just take kids away anyway.
Look, I get it.
I can bang on about it forever. I should just stop.
But my ex's brother-in-law, he started out. He's a chippy, and he basically did a lot of building and so forth and all that kind of stuff. And then he started working for TAFE. And then what happened is they asked him, would he like to go to New Guinea to teach the indigenous people how to be, to build.
A chippy, yeah.
And he went over there. He spent many, many, many years over there. So on and off. He knew the place, he knew the people, etc. and so forth. And he gave them a lot of instruction on how to be what they are. You know what I mean? And he used to tell us a lot of funny stories. There was there was one time where he ended up becoming a negotiator for an oil company. Okay. That was putting an oil pipeline right through the middle of New Guinea, all right, from one end to the next.
That would have been fun.
It was, because there's still a lot of tribes out in New Guinea that are quite wild.
Absolutely.
And they still cut your head off. no,
Still bloody eat people.
yeah, no second thoughts about it. Anyway, he's having he was the liaison because he knew how to speak with them, he knew how to communicate, and and all that kind of stuff. And he was quite funny. He said they were in a hut one day, and they had because they had to go right down the middle of two tribal areas, right?
Yeah.
So there was a border.
Yeah.
Anyways, he had one tribal chief on one side of the table, the other tribal chief on the other side of the table, and they were negotiating really, really well. Next thing you know, the hut was attacked by the other tribal chiefs' people because they utilised this area, this thing, to kill the other tribal leader.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, right.
He's saying there were spears going through, there were that, and everything else, and they actually ended up being. He said it was like a scene out of MASH or whatever. You know what I mean? The helicopter comes in and helivacs them out. You know.
Wow.
The hell out of there. So.
But it's very, very different when you're thinking about it. My point in that regard was the way people live and so forth when people go in there and start disturbing the mainframe of it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And things go wrong, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There should be a lot more reliance on people making their own choice. Deciding what is best for them. And I reckon if that had been the case over the last 20 or so years that I've been involved with, 16 years and a little bit of stuff before that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had been happening for the last 50 years even, there would be a lot less money would have been spent on programs that didn't work, and in the end, less money spent on the whole thing because whatever was spent would be doing something good,
Vote one Buzz Bidstrup for Prime Minister.
Yeah. Can you just imagine the White House?
White House?
No, you know what I mean.
Parliament.
The Parliament. I call it the White House because it's big and bloody white, isn't it? Can you just imagine right in the foyer there, Buzz with his kit?
They're saying, no way, get fucked, fuck off.
On that note,
I think
that'd be my campaign slogan.
hang on. You got to start
you sure
singing.
somebody else wouldn't have a copyright on that?
No,
Hang on.
it's all right.
Well, let's went down to Santa Fe where we.
Hang on. We haven't got a dump button, so I can't do that.
I know. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Said what?
That's all right. It's
No
after.
way, get fucked, fuck
Oh,
off.
okay. Yeah. That's all right.
We call it
we'll edit
frack.
It out after we've gone to air, which we
Oh,
already
right,
have
okay.
that. It's okay.
We say frack.
Yeah.
You see.
Frack off.
Yeah,
That's
that's it. No fracking way.
Which is
I wish they'd stop that too.
yes,
I
boss.
played on that song actually. No
Yes, we
fracking.
played that last week after we had a chat with Leo Sayer. You and
Yeah.
Doc showing your faces and having a sing along with it.
Doc
It was
in
brilliant.
there and I was in there.
Yeah, I
It
know.
must have actually been one of the very last things that Doc did before he passed away.
It was. Actually,
So-
the last thing he did was a version of a Vanda and Young song called "Walking in the Rain,"
Okay.
Oh, really?
which was he did a great version of that. The Brendan Gallagher, who
Okay.
produced Jimmy's Messenger album,
Yeah.
did that song too. Yeah.
We will
Bit
have
of
to
trivia.
find that.
Another bit of trivia for you.
We'll have
Well,
to
there you
find
go.
that.
Well, actually, mate, if you can find it, that'd be great too.
I can find it. I got it on my computer.
Oh, mate, you're going to have to send us
You
the music,
Well,
mate.
so when you send me the transcript of this
Yeah.
this interview, then I'll bash you back. I'll bash you back a version of "Walking in the Rain."
Okay.
by
Do you want
Doc
it?
Neeson.
Do you want this transcript also bleeping out the F-bombs, or we just leave it in there
Oh,
for
bugger.
prosperity?
I don't know. It's up to you guys.
Ah, bugger it. Nah, we live dangerously, mate.
Absolutely.
We're on the edge. We'll go
Good on you.
frack it.
Buzz, has been wonderful having a chat. We could
Yeah,
we
nice
could
to talk to
chat
you,
on
boys.
like this for hours because there's so much to cover.
Yeah, there
I
is,
mean,
yeah.
We haven't even
Well,
really
we'll
scratched the
have another
surface.
chat later on.
Mate,
Another
anytime-
time we'll-
Anytime that you're free, after you've been for another couple of rounds of trips
Excuse
to Northern Territory when GANGgajang are
Yeah.
back out strumming around and so forth, anytime you like, let us know. More than happy to chat to you.
And if you're ever in Sydney,
Yeah.
You know where to find us.
here's me. Sorry
You're more
about
than
that. In a
welcome.
minute.
You're more than welcome, mate. We can bring you in the studio. We can even bring you
Where's
ukulele.
your studio?
Liverpool.
Oh, lovely. I
Sydney
drove through
Southwest.
Drove through Liverpool today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yep, we're coming back from Wollongong. Played in Wollongong last night,
Yes.
stayed the night, and
Yep.
I actually drove right through Liverpool today, so I should have just stopped in and bloody done it there, eh?
Yeah,
Well,
you could have done.
Yeah, could have.
You could have.
Next time, boys.
Oh, make sure you do, mate. No, we're definitely going to hold you to that, mate.
Don't worry. Ben will,
Cool.
Ben will make sure he stalks you until you turn up.
Yeah, there you go. And we'll pay you that whole.
Go to the footy.
Well, if you like,
Yeah,
depending on which game you want to go to.
They're
not a
going
problem.
to get a girls' team, aren't they?
Yes, they are. GWS.
Good
Actually, there is a national women's competition starting off next year. I think it's only been Victorian-based so far, but now they will have one officially as from next year. And I think out of the 16 teams in the NFL, the AFL, at least 12 of them will have women's teams, and they're looking to do them as curtain raisers to the men's game.
Right.
Brilliant. I know a few
brilliant.
guys that should join.
I'm sorry?
I know a few guys that should join the women's team.
I could ask a point and question at that stage, but I think we'll just leave it there.
Yes.
That's all right. On that note, thank you,
Thanks.
gentlemen.
Buzz has been wonderful. Take care, and we hope to chat to you very, very, very soon.